in my time zone at Central, and good afternoon to folks on the East Coast, and good evening to the folks joining us from overseas. And welcome to the first of a series of webinars that we will be giving on the topic of our new beta 1 drop for Adobe ColdFusion Next, which will be called 2025. Today's session is going to be a bit of a meta session. We're going to be talking about all of the other fun stuff that's coming down the road in the engineering stuff that's coming. But let me start off with the topics that we're going to be talking about. So first of all, we're going to start off with who's this guy? For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm going to go over a little bit of who I am and where I came from and what I like. Sorry. Then we're going to go over general frequently asked questions. So stuff that has come up in the past in other webinars, as well as things I've already been asked about this one. Then we're going to get into the meat of this talk, the list of all of the upcoming webinars, details about what's going to be in there. We're actually going to go over some of the documentation that was in the alpha for those of you that weren't in there and didn't get a chance to look at the docs. Those have really, really detailed things about Charlie. I do talk about pancakes. You're a funny guy. And at the end, we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A. Hopefully, I'll answer all of your questions. But if I don't, then I'll try to do that at that point. Very important, by the way, if you want me to answer your questions, there is a Q&A pod. If you put your questions into the actual chat, I will absolutely miss them because there's going to be a lot of people talking and it's going to go by and I'm going to have to try to scroll up. So please, if you have a question for me during the actual talk, please drop it in the Q&A. That would be wonderful and amazing. Okay. So who's this person in this tiny Post-it stamp at the top of your screen? So I am the Adobe Technical Evangelist for ColdFusion. I've been there since 2021, which is kind of wild that it's been that long. It feels like just yesterday that I joined. And I'm a developer with nearly 30 years of experience, which is actually a big deal because ColdFusion is going to be celebrating its 30th anniversary soon, and it was my first language. So yeah, we're going to have a fun little anniversary here coming up pretty soon. In addition to all of my work with ColdFusion and Adobe, I'm also an AI educator. So I help out companies as well as schools to help understand what AI actually is, and not necessarily specific to Adobe AI. In fact, I do not and cannot talk directly about Adobe AI. I talk about the concepts of AI, high-level things, some of the mathematics that are involved in what AI does and what it actually is under the hood to help people understand where it can help them with their workflows. I'm also a keynote speaker, and I've done keynotes around the world. And finally, and forget all that, though, because I am a pancake enthusiast, which honestly is why most of you all are here. And I do expect at least one question. I'll be really disappointed if there's not at least one question about pancakes later on. All right. So, general frequently asked questions. So let's go down the road here, down the line. First of all, where will these webinars happen? Right here. You're here. If you are sitting here in this room in the my.adobeconnect.com/ColdFusion room, that's where they're going to be. So you may be watching this on recording, which is why I said that. But this is where you're going to want to show up every day at when? 9 a.m. Pacific. Every single one of these, without exception, will also be at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then what dates? Well, I'm going to go over that. There's going to be a bunch of different dates because we have a bunch of different talks that are going to be coming up. However, if you're getting a little, frisky about wanting to see them, so you can drop them on your calendar right away, you can go over to these. Wait a minute. Can someone tell me? Are you seeing my preview on the actual screen? Can someone confirm that for me? Because I'm actually not seeing the preview. You are seeing the slides? Okay, thank you. I don't know why that's not doing it for me. That's fine. Okay, awesome. Bug. Okay, So cool. Then will they be recorded? Yes. We are recording it just like this one's being recorded. However, very important, they're going to be posted in their raw format first to the beta forums, and then only later will we move them to YouTube. The reason for that is the reason, Corbin, the reason for that is that we want to have this in your hands as soon as possible. It does take time for us to have it edited and pushed up to our YouTube channel. I can just push the raw files directly to the beta forums very easily. So that way, this is a really good time for all of you to be testing the beta stuff. So probably it's better to get it in your hands earlier than later, and then later you'll be able to get it on YouTube as well. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, I'm not part of the beta. How am I going to get access to this? Join the beta. It's free. It's open to everyone. It's super easy. There's a link below. There's also a link, by the way, for the blog in case you don't want to type all that out. And then code samples, right? Because you want to know how some of this stuff works and maybe try it out yourself. Well, I have 2 different GitHub repos also down below in the beta links. There is one for CF charts, and there's another for spreadsheets. And these are not like hello world, super basic things. These are actual like fun little sandboxy playground apps that take advantage of a lot of the cool new features that are in both of those feature sets. So yeah, check them out, use them. The code is yours to use however you'd like. They use HTMX, apologies if you don't like that technology. I'm sure that someone, Corbin, will port that over to every single, yeah, see, Corbin, yeah, you. Well, you know what? PRs are available, my friend, so you can go ahead and pull request and bring in a whole bunch of other front ends for me, because I know you have all the time in the world to do that. All right, and then finally, can I run my production workload on a copy of the beta engine? Yeah, what do you think? No, don't do that. Please don't use any of the beta products in any production workloads. They are not meant for prime time yet. There will be bugs. So yeah, just please don't. All right. Starting off. All right. Tomorrow, December 3rd at 9 a.m., Parvati and Atul are going to be talking about security and stability in ColdFusion 2025. Now, you might be saying, Mark, that's not a feature. That's not like a thing. You're right. Some of the webinars will actually be about sets of features or things that we've done to the product behind the scenes, really important changes that we've made that we wanted to actually highlight and showcase. So tomorrow, and it's going to run about 60 minutes, depending on how many questions there are. And all of the run times are approximate, right? If there's a lot of questions, if there's a lot of detail, sometimes things will run long. Again, they are recorded. If you only have 60 minutes, please stay in as long as you can. You can always go back and do a rewatch off of the recording. So what will they be talking about tomorrow? Well, security updates, right? But specifically the security updates that we've done recently to some of our other products and how those will affect ColdFusion 2025 when it comes out. We're going to talk a little bit about the way that PCERT, which is our internal security program, actually works, how we respond to things like 0 days. We're going to talk about some of the OEM upgrades that were done and that continue to be done for the 2025 product, what impacts they might have on security, as well as talking a little bit about how we've worked to improve the speed of updates. They're going to chat a little bit about the bug bounty program, which is something that's fairly new. We used to have an internal one. We had an internal red team that used to do a lot of penetration testing and things like that. We've actually joined the central Adobe bug bounty program because we're really serious about security. We want a lot of people to have their eyes on the product, to secure it as much as possible. So we went through and actually went to that. They're going to talk about some of the details on that, how you might be able to join. Bugs. So this is more of the stability. They're going to talk a bit about the bugs that have been fixed and what impact that might have on the stability of the product. Java switches, our favorite. We love Java switches. It's like 400 characters long, right? So specifically Java switches that have recently been added and what their role and impact will be on 2025, which ones will stay, which ones may be going, all of that. And it's really important, by the way, if there are switches that you are currently using to make sure that your product continues to run, please come in and let us know. We need to know if you are currently unable to, in the short interim here, to update and refactor your code to not work without those switches. They're going to talk about encryption. There's recently been some encryption changes. There's more coming, and they're going to potentially have an impact on your code and maybe require some refactors. So they're going to talk about that. And then just general stability improvements to the ColdFusion 2025 engine, things that are just going to help make it so that, I don't know, you have to reboot less often or not worry about the product going down. So that's tomorrow at 9 a.m. here in this room. Moving along, December 4th, Vikas is going to be talking about VS Code Builder plugin changes. So as you may or may not be aware of, we have an IDE plugin for VS Code. It's called Builder. It's available on the marketplace free of charge. And we've been working on it for a while. I know that when it started out, it was maybe something that a lot of people had some issues getting started on. There were some bugs. We've worked really hard on trying to make sure that we've improved those. And our goal is really to make this the best IDE for doing ColdFusion editing, period. That's what we want this product to do. Whatever that takes, we're going to do it. So on the 4th, Vikas, 9 a.m. again here, is going to be talking about some of the bug fixes that are going into this new build. So by the way, if you're in the beta and you head over to the pre-release, there's a V6 there that you can drop in and use that will show you some of the new additions, some of the bugs that have been fixed. So please, 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 if you're currently using that product and you're dealing with bugs, or maybe even if you used it before and the bugs made you uninstall it, please drop in, take a look and see about some of the things that have been fixed and updated, because there's been a lot of changes. We've also added a lot of language support stuff, things to support the 2025 product. Now, most importantly, what Vikas is going to do is not only show you some of these changes, some of these updates and fixes, Vikas is actually going to dive in and show off some of the workflows that you can do with the product that might be a little bit more difficult, that we've heard from customers are things that are hard for them to figure out. So things like tracking variables, some of the debugging, the security, right? And he's actually going to do a little bit of rapid development of an app. Now, clearly 60 minutes, you're not going to build much of an app. There's going to be a little bit of shortcutting here, a little copy paste type stuff, fun stuff, right? But at the end of the day, we're really going to show you how this can be a really, really powerful and effective tool for you to get your work done. And that's our goal. We want to continue to make this better. If you've had issues, please show up. Vikas is literally the person that has the most information and knowledge about this out here. Like, he's one of the leads on this project. Let him know. Ask your questions. We want to hear from you. Sorry, I'm laughing because the items of note here could dent a steel plate. On the 5th, again here, 9 a.m., Ashudeep is going to be talking about language additions to ColdFusion 2025. Whew. Yeah, it's a big list, right? So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to drop out of my slides for a second and just show you some of the things that we already have. So this is a list. This is the documentation from the alpha that has a lot of the language additions. Some more have been added. I guess I should have pulled up the one that I just uploaded like 15 minutes ago. It's okay. It's not that big of a difference, a vector between the two. But I'm just going to kind of go through here and talk about just the absolute huge list here. Notice it's a 52-page document for just the language additions. So starting off, WebP. We all know WebP. We've all been there. Right click, save as. Oh man, it's a WebP. How am I going to be like able to deal with it? Actually, trying to deal with WebP is a little bit of a bear occasionally. So we've added some really great features. It's actually kind of fun to use. I've used it to sort of hack images into places where maybe they shouldn't have been. Don't tell my boss. Some new destructuring enhancements. So in structures, some assignment and property shorthands are being added, multiple destructuring parameters, a lot of fun stuff. And I'm not going to dive too deep into any of this. Like I'll leave that to Ashu to do in his talk. Bitwise operator support in query of queries in Q of Q. That's a new one. So we've got and, we've got inclusive or, exclusive or, complement, lots of stuff. Left shift, right shift, all very cool. Modulus operator in Q of Q. That's a big one. I'm really, really excited about that one. That one's super fun. I've definitely been in places where I've wanted that, and now I got it. That's probably how it ended up in the product. CF Grid tag changes. So a lot of you might know CF Grid. It is an older thing. So if you're using it, you may think about maybe not using it. It's not completely deprecated. However, the default for the format, kill it. Yeah, I know, Giancarlo. I'm right there with you as well. But if you currently use it, the default for it was applet, which has been deprecated, and it's now HTML. But again, probably shouldn't be using it. We've got some new attributes in Exchange tags. So we've got username, password, and server for those 3 tags. Some support for case-sensitive deserialization, right? So in 2021, you know, we added ordered case-sensitive structs, right? So now you can actually, when you deserialize, you can preserve case. So again, this was a highly requested feature, and we're super happy that we could do that. Hash function changes. So this has a new parameter, output encoding, which has those possible values. And again, actually, we'll deep dive into this and actually show you, like, you know, maybe an app and a bunch of code. All right, let's get duplicates. Awesome new function. And we also added another one. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of stuff here. We also added support for compound assignment operators. So again, a super, super popular request is going into the product. Two-dimensional arrays in JavaCast. Now, I don't use JavaCast a ton. Some of you do. So this might be useful for you. Sorry, this is a lot of code. Array insert at enhancements. Okay. So you may be familiar with the really fun thing where you can't insert into an empty array with array insert at. You would get an exception error. That one. So we've actually fixed that. It will now drop into position 1 in the array. So you no longer have to do the dance of doing a length check and then yada yada. Password protection CF spreadsheet. You can no longer read password protected Excel files without specifying the password. I'm just going to leave that there. Probably going to get questions about that one. And script protect is getting updated. Thread management. Okay, this is a big one. Get back from the blog. If you're at the blog adding stuff to your calendar, come back for this one. If you use threads in ColdFusion, there's a huge change coming. Actually, we'll get into really details on this, but the short version is thread.stop is being removed. It's being removed from Java. Okay, so we got no choice. We actually had to get around it. So Ashi will actually talk about that and what our solution for that will be and how you can refactor your code to match that. So thank you, Java. Max idle time in CF query is being added. Support for final static methods. That's an exciting one. Really cool. Support for CSP. That's a security thing. Let's see. Some new settings there. right? CSP is cool. Uh, and then generate 3DS key, obviously encryption. That's a new thing. And then a bunch of CF setup, some file uploads, some CF setup changes, and I think that is it. And some white space management. Okay, so lots and lots and lots of. Wait a minute. Okay. There we go. All right, lots and lots and lots of changes and updates coming. So make sure that you join up. Now, very important, there is no chance this is going 60 minutes, right? So maybe make sure that you block out a little more than 60 minutes for this. I assume it's going to go, well, quite a bit longer. There's probably going to be a ton of questions as well. So yeah. Again, it'll be recorded. If you can only be there an hour, that's totally fine. We understand. You can check it out on replay. If you think you're going to have questions, definitely block out the time. All right, performance enhancements. So Satyam is going to be talking about some of the big new performance things that we're adding to ColdFusion. Now, that items of note is much smaller than the language editions, but don't be fooled. This is also a big, long, very detailed talk about a lot of the speed boosts that you're going to see in 2025. As you all know, in 2023, we really did not improve performance very much, if at all. We heard you loud and clear. You said that things like compile times, query of query, right? Startup times, both in just regular installs and in containers. There were just a lot of things that were not good, including spreadsheets, which, thank you, Dave. In some cases, the spreadsheet performance was low enough to where you had to come up with these kind of wild workarounds, like Dave had to actually make your stuff work. Your spreadsheet were so big that they were just timing the server out. And so we had to add a bunch of new features to allow you to be able to do your work properly without having to do weird chunking and things like that manually, right? So this also will, I mean, it's probably going to be 60 plus a bit. But definitely, if your whole thing is about running your apps as fast as possible, if you've had issues with performance in the past, this is going to be big. December 9th, here in the ColdFusion room at 9 a.m. CF charts. All right, CF charts is one of my favorite things. Yukti on December 10th is going to be talking about CF charts. Now, I love visualizations. That's why I'm a visual person. I was a designer for a very, very long time. I love, love, love to take data and put it into beautiful charts. But up until now, CF charts was maybe a little long in the tooth. It just was not updated for a long time. We've now come back and we have made it so much better. So we've updated the engine, first of all, but also we've added a lot of new features as well as just adding the engine. So the first big one is new chart types. We've got marker enhancements. And by the way, I'm going to hop into my the docs to show you some of the new chart types in a second. That shouldn't say templates. That should say themes. So themes are a brand new, amazing feature. If you work for a company, you probably have a color scheme that you like to go with, that someone in your design department worked very hard and long hours to get all shiny, just the right color blue. Well, you can create that theme and apply it to all of your visualizations. You can share that with your company. You can also, if you want, use some of the amazing new default themes that we had made to the stuff that you have now, right? And they are gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Clustering and stacking of charts is also a new feature, as well as SVG support. And that's a big deal. Like SVG is now basically my favorite format for doing charts because it's so great. Like you can expand it to whatever size you need. It's very powerful. And then grouping charts. So this is a new feature that we've added that allows you to basically create objects which are multiple charts. So as an example, like a dashboard, right? A dashboard is going to have multiple charts. You can actually create that object and use it in different places. It's really powerful. It's great for visualizations. It's great for creating dashboards for C-suite executives to get them off your back, right? So they can see what an awesome job your team is doing, right? So definitely don't miss that. Let me just real quick jump into the charting here and just give you an overview real quick of some of the new stuff that's coming. The first one is the donut chart or the ring chart. And this one's actually really fun. So it can be not just a donut, it can be a donut that you took a bite out of. And you can change things like reference angles, apertures. You can change the size of the hole in the center to maybe, make sure that the color comes out really, really well. And again, the colors are things that you're going to be able to set, including using themes, which is going to be really, really cool. And you can see like these are better than charts that I've made. That is for sure. All right. A lot of demos of that. Horizontal floating bar charts, all right, as well as vertical ones. Now, these are really important because not everything starts from zero, right? Sometimes the data that you have starts at a position and goes up to another position, right? So this is a nice addition. Also, we have 3D versions of them available, and they look nice. Histograms. So these are area charts. So we've got stepped area charts as well as curved. And one cool new feature is the ability to have the lines show up or not show up based on what you want the visualization to show when you actually stack multiple data sets of curved and stepped lines. And it can create some really amazing effects, as you can see. We also have the ability to do an area where it's above the line, right? Because sometimes data does that. So here is a stacked stepped and a clustered stepped. Support for SVG, as I said. Okay, and that is all of those fun things. Great. So definitely try to make it out to that one if you're doing visualizations currently. Spreadsheets and CSV processing. December 9th, Nikhil is going to be talking for a very long time. I saw the amount of information that he wants to actually talk about in his talk. And yeah, make sure, use the restroom, have some water, comfy chair, because this is also going to be a really long talk. This is actually my favorite new feature of ColdFusion 2025. If you saw my podcast with Ryan and Ben, I mentioned the CSV processing and reading and writing and all of that fun stuff is 100% my favorite thing because, as a lot of you have probably done, I've made a ton of code to process and pull in CSVs, read them, be able to do all the regex that's required. It's such a pain. All of this does it for you. It's beautiful. It's very performant. It's super great. So on top of just the CSV stuff, which is actually not just 3 things, there's all kinds of features that are inside of each of those functions. We also have some new spreadsheet capabilities. So asynchronous processing, as well as streaming of spreadsheets. This is actually related to some of the performance stuff that I mentioned before, but here we're actually going to be diving deep into the code that makes that stuff happen, right? So for example, if you have a spreadsheet that's so big that trying to read all of the rows out of it would time out your server or maybe cause an out of memory error, the streaming feature allows you to essentially automatically chunk it or stream it in and process it line by line by line. It's super cool. Nikhil is not only going to be showing you these particular items and the functions and showing you some code for that, but actually building out some fun applications to allow you to see, like, how can I actually use this? So in addition to the Git that I have posted below for the CSV spreadsheets demo app that I built, you will also be getting this stuff, which will be awesome. Phil asks, all these improvements are awesome. CF Grid, is that a thing still? It is, Phil. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't recommend you use it necessarily, but it is a thing. So definitely block out more time. If this is of interest for you, this is going to be a long talk. We're just going to let Nikhil talk and see how long it goes. Again, it will be recorded, so you can stay as long as you need to, or you can, and then go back and do a rewatch of anything that you missed afterwards. Let me real quick just kind of go into a little bit of the things that are being added and some a little bit of details. Kevin, right? Yeah, definitely block out your whole day. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about when I say that there's not just the 3 functions. So there are a lot of little parameters here that definitely change the way that each of these functions works. There's features that are part of all of them, as you can see. So we are still here in one thing, right? We're still in CSV read, and there are a lot of things, a lot of options that can change the way that this new function reads in your CSVs and then writes them back out. Let me drop down to, sorry, that was CSV write. CSV read also, again, one thing to note, by the way, all of the CSV features currently read and write from files only. Okay. So if you need or want to process something that for whatever reason is a CSV that's just in memory, for the moment, you will have to write it to a temporary file and pull it back in. We are working on getting that fixed to actually add a transform feature. I'm not sure when it'll drop, but it looks good to get in, at least for the final product. So fingers crossed. If not that, it will be an update shortly after going live, because that's a feature that I definitely could have used. If you look at my CSV spreadsheets demo app, you'll actually see me writing stuff out to a temporary directory and then pulling it back into memory. Obviously, that's an expensive thing to do. You don't really want to do that if you can get around it. But that's just something to keep in mind. If you see that and say, hey, it'd be really great if I could read it out of memory, we got you. We're working on that. All righty. So CSV process is very useful. All right. Well, anyway, let me keep going because I'm already at over 30 minutes. MS Graph, Microsoft Graph. So hopefully all of you are familiar with MS Graph. It is the preferred method that Microsoft would like you to use to interact with essentially anything with that little Microsoft logo on it. If you remember, back in the day, you used to be able to do basic auth. You used to be able to do OAuth. And then they added this. So basic auth is gone, out. And yes, Dave, it is not a graph. Thank you. And it's not GraphQL either, for those of you who are wondering. GraphQL is already in the product. We dropped it in 2023. Hopefully you're using it because it's rad. So in the very near future, Microsoft has said they are getting rid of OAuth for accessing and interacting with their products everywhere. All right. Still working on my water. If you are interacting with Microsoft products and currently using OAuth to do that, you are going to have to refactor sometime in the next few years. They haven't been, as far as I know, they don't have a solid date for it to go away, but it is going away. This is not only going to be the preferred way, it's going to be the way that you will interact with stuff. So it's pretty important to keep an eye on it. You may already have heard this and made your own libraries, which is awesome and great. What we would love, to hear from you is how you're using it, because something that a lot of people don't know about MS Graph is that it's not just an authentication mechanism. It's a way to do things like user control, data access. There is a plethora, a lot of different ways to interact with all the Microsoft products using MS Graph. There's a ton. So we want to know what you're using. If you have a library that you're currently using and it doesn't have parity with what we have, please tell us. We want to add stuff. We just didn't have time to add everything. We had to prioritize a few things that we felt were important after some interviews with customers. We want to hear more. So if you are using MS Graph on December 13th, lucky December 13th, Shiva is going to be going into all the new features that are going to support interacting with Microsoft products with MS Graph that we're adding. Did you catch that, Sharvy? Mike wants Key Vault with internal metadata service, please. So let's add that. I'm actually serious. I hope Sharvy here. Yeah, Sharvy's here. Okay, awesome. Okay, if you could write that down, thank you. Awesome, thank you. Perfect. Oh my goodness. Yes, and that's actually great, Mike. Yeah, this is exactly what we want to see and hear from our customers, because a lot of people, they don't want to have to maintain their own library, right? Sometimes where you work, they don't really like to have custom libraries. They would like them to be supported by us, right? So that if something breaks or there's a security issue, we fix it. Okay, Sharvy would like you to raise an enhancement request on tracker.adobe. So if you could do that, that would be super rad and awesome. Thank you, Mike. All right. Containers. I love containers. You love containers. Corbin definitely loves containers. He's already running the new beta in a container while I'm talking. Multitasking. So a lot of you are, that's true. A lot of you are already using containers, right? But you also told us that there were things in containers that we didn't really support and that you wanted us to add in. So we listened to you, and we've got some, I think, pretty good enhancements, some pretty good new features that are going to be coming in. Again, this seems like not a lot of items of note. This is also a fairly long talk, actually, because Suchika has created multiple environments to show off all of the different ways that we're adding capabilities to containers. Now, to be clear, this is not just Docker, okay? This is also, I think, Kubernetes. And we're adding things like secrets. We're adding things like configs. Yeah, it's Swarm. So that's a good point, Sharvy. Thank you. So, and obviously Suchika will get into the deep dive details of it. But you are required to use swarming for this, which is fine. You can run a single container in a swarm if you want to. That's actually totally fine. As well as an item I don't have listed here, which is the ability to be able to take your logs and centralize them. That was a really big problem. If you have a lot of containers, trying to get into those logs is problematic. It's difficult, right? So having a centralized place where everything is logging to is really, really important. Like if for whatever reason, maybe you disposed of a container, right? You couldn't log inside of that container, obviously, because it's disposable, right? I mean, and that's the point of containers, is having the ability to just throw them away or spin them back up as needed. So she's going to talk about that on December 17th, 9 a.m. here in the ColdFusion room. And finally, this guy again. Who keeps letting this guy in the room? I don't know. On the 18th, just before I fly away to Aruba for my 2-week vacation, I wish, I will be back for a recap of everything that you learned over the time. I'll have links to all of the videos available to folks there to more easily be able to access them if they want to. And it's going to be a chance for Q&A for all the engineers. I'm going to try to have as many engineers there as possible, all in the one place, so that you're able to, if you missed asking a question, like if you weren't able to hold out through the entirety of one of the longer sessions, or just couldn't make a session because you had a stand up or something, this is a time when you'll be able to ask that question and hopefully get the answer either then, or I'll be able to send it over to the engineer and get one back for you as soon as possible. Now, obviously, we dropped the beta already, so you could be out there testing between now and then, but you'll still have another couple of weeks before the beta 2 drops. And let me be a little bit clear with that. So there are 2 different drops that will be happening. The first one just happened. The second drop will come in early January. Some of the features that I talked about and the folks that are going to be doing the webinars are going to detail which things are going to drop into which drop. Some of them are available now. Some of them will be available a little bit later. We couldn't get them all into the first one, but we wanted to get as much as possible into your hands now. And so that's kind of where we're at. And the documentation that is in the beta site currently details the things that are available now for you to play with, to test, to work, to run. All of my code works with the current beta. So you'll just be able to run it with the stuff that's there. All right. 41 minutes. Not bad. Not bad. I wanted 40, but I went just a tiny bit over. So let's do questions first, because I think I saw a couple in here. Okay. How will the beta for the new VS Code extension changes be distributed? Good question, Corbin. So in the beta site, so you will have to actually go and click the beta sign up. You'll go to the Adobe pre-release site, and inside of the downloads, there's a V6 file. Oh, you asked before you figured it out. Okay, but it's good. It's good. It's good. Set some minor. Excellent. Okay. So basically, for folks who didn't maybe necessarily know that that's how you're able to do it, because it's not in the marketplace, to be clear. It's not something that you can just go to VS Code and just pull it down from somewhere. You're actually going to have to go through, install the V6 and get it running, which is, yeah, a little bit. Oh, yes. Thank you, Monty. Very good point. Yes, you do have to change the name of .zip to .v6. Thank you. I need to put that in the notes. That's a really good point. And that's the feedback. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, and this is a weird thing. If we had it as a V6 and you try to download it, things freak out. And we weren't able to kind of get around that other than just changing it, to a zip. So, okay. Charlie, my good friend Charlie, you shared how you're dealing with Java's deprecation of thread.stop, but I've not heard any discussion of plans to handle Java's deprecation and coming removal of the Java Security Manager. Since that underlies the CF Security Sandbox feature, which some do rely on, is there any discussion underway regarding that? Or might I have missed any public discussion so far? Thank you, Charlie. So you haven't missed any discussion. That is being internally discussed. Please bring it up at the security talk tomorrow. Go ahead and please ask, and we should be able to get you at least a little bit of insight on that. And maybe it might be possible to get you on a call as well. It's definitely it's an important thing, but it's also a very sensitive thing. Obviously, anytime we're talking about security, we have to be a little bit careful about where we're talking about it, what we're talking about, all of that. But it is definitely, we know about it. There's internal discussions happening. We are working on it. Of course, no, I totally get it. And and it is important. We need to, figure out what the movement forward will be. If you have some thoughts on that, we'd love to hear them. Definitely tomorrow at the security thing. The folks that are on the talk are focused on security. That's what they do for us as engineers. So they're going to be a great pair to actually talk to about this. All right. Those are the only questions that I see in Q&A. And very disappointingly, I don't see anything about pancakes, which, come on, guys. Talk to the master pancakes here. No, does anyone have any other questions? You've got me here for another 15 minutes before I turn into a pumpkin. So, and I'm kidding. I could stay as long as we need to, but don't be shy. Pancake bar at the next CF Summit. You know, I am really tempted to. Um, I do, I do love making pancakes. And gosh darn it, humble brag, I'm pretty good at it these days. So, yeah. Does anybody know? Can you bring a griddle on a plane? Is that legal? Can I put that in the overhead storage? Any plans on scope validation with CF OAuth or integration with ColdFusion REST services? Oh, that's a really good question, Mike. Hold on. Do we have Edwin here? We don't, but we do have a lot of other engineers. Is there an engineer here that wants to maybe tackle this? This is also, by the way, Mike, a really good question to ask to the security team tomorrow, because this is more their, their flavor of things. But we do have a number of Adobe engineers here that may be able to speak to that. I am not certain about where we're at with that. You're not the first person to talk about it. We can address it in that best graphic. Okay, perfect. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll talk about it there. Make sure that you join that one, Mike, and yeah, we can hit that there, as well as any other questions that you might have regarding it. Oh, perfect. CFO off. Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't have that on my little list, but yeah, we are talking about changes in CFO off. Perfect. Thank you, Sharvy. Excellent. Right. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns, sing-along requests? What's the best flavor syrup for pancakes? That's an excellent question, Ryan. The best syrup is no syrup at all required. So I learned that from a friend from Wisconsin. See you, Corbin. Yeah, so my pancakes can be eaten with no syrup at all. But if you like them, if you like syrup, you can add jam, you can add maple syrup, raspberry syrup, passion fruit syrup is amazing. But my pancakes, or just butter. Yep. The idea is the pancake or waffle should be able to stand alone on flavor without needing to add anything else. And then you can just sort of change it up depending on the flavor of the pancake. I make orange passion fruit cranberry pancakes. I make cinnamon roll pancakes, all of that. Same holds true for CF 2025. That's right. It should stand alone. It doesn't need anything else. It does everything you need, and it's delicious. If we're going to syrup, put the syrup on the plate first, then place the pancakes. Absolutely, Carl. And that is 100% what I do recommend people do. A little bit of a dish, put your syrup in there, and then dip the pancakes to the amount that you want so you can actually control it without making them soggy. Very, very important tip for eating pancakes. I love that we've gone into the pancake arena here. This is still being recorded, by the way, so people are going to do that and talk about it in CF meetups when you do that with CF 2025. Yeah, definitely that. And we'll be starting up for those of you that are in the Sacramento area, kind of an exciting thing. We are starting a ColdFusion user group here in Sacramento that I am hoping, in fact, more than hoping, I have the plans, will be fully hybrid. We will be live streaming it. Sharvy doesn't even know this. This is so exciting. We are going to be live streaming it on Stream Deck, thanks to the amazing support of a sponsor who will be announced here fairly shortly. They will be helping us stream it out there and supporting the folks that are coming there with food in person. Unfortunately, we can't send food to you around the world. You can only listen to our delicious talks. But that's starting in January. That's going to be our first meetup there. So if you are in the Bay Area even, or Sacramento or thereabouts, definitely try and make it out. I'm hoping to grow this into pretty much the biggest CF meetup in California. Not that there's that many big ones anyway, but hopefully this will inspire other people to bring in more bigger CF meetups around the world. Perfect. All right. So we're at 50 minutes. Sharvie wants to attend one CF meetup in person at least once a year. That's a bucket list item. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have you. It's a bit of a flight. Tiny bit of a flight to get you over here. They need to invent teleporters, but it would be amazing to have you show up. I mean, could you imagine? We have a surprise guest. It's Sharvie. That would be amazing. All right, Monty asks, regarding the VS Code extension, there were some updates to the public version a month or two ago. Are those updates in the beta version of the VS Code extension? That's a really good question. I will say I need to... Ooh, Dave is going to join us. Awesome. I will say I'm not sure, Monty. So there was an issue. I asked the engineers to fix it. I have not checked to make sure that this was fixed. The versioning between the beta, the alpha in the past, the versioning between the alpha and the live kind of got out of sync. We actually released a V6 for the alpha and then dropped an official update for some bugs into the mainstream marketplace one. So if you had the V6 installed that actually wanted you to back out of it, you had a little dot that said you were behind a version. I asked them to fix that. I'm not sure if it's been fixed. I believe if it has, then it should include all of those things. I'm not 100% sure. I will ask. Or if you come to the VS Code talk, I'm sure that they'll be able to tell you about that as well. Awesome. Well, Dave, if you are up here and it's around the same time that you'll be up here, that would be amazing. I should make you talk. Ah, perfect. I got my first speaker. Oh, thank you, Nikhil. Okay, so one of the engineers just jumped in and said that yes, the beta does include those changes that are live on the messaging. That's awesome. Perfect. Yeah. So I could already tell you, Dave will be talking about databases. Sorry, buddy. I love you. Surprise. And spreadsheets. Actually, that's a good idea, Sharvie. I should have Dave do a talk on how to do spreadsheet streaming using the new cool stuff. Yeah, play with it. Check it out. Because I know that's the very first thing that Dave is going to do. He may already be doing it while I'm sitting here blabbering on about stuff. He's probably installing it and trying to figure out how to make it work with his current workflows, like as we speak. I knew it. See? Do I know you or do I know you? Yeah. It's such a cool feature, folks. Yeah, I'm so happy that we were able to do that. This is a great example of sort of this philosophy that we have now in going out to our customer base, to our community, and just really deep diving into like, what are the things that make you sad about the product right now? Like, what do you want fixed? Tell us. If you have new features that you want, let us know. We want to make this product easy for you to use. We want you to be happy to use it. We want it to be everything that you need all in one product. So yeah, and that is what we are doing. Everybody email Sharvie and me. I'm very available, obviously. That's a really good question. That I need to. So what's going to happen is I'm going to announce. Oh shoot! Is Vamsi here? Vamsi's not here. Okay. I need to ping Vamsi to find out what the week's focus area is going to be for this week, and then essentially, if you test that stuff out, okay, in the next 12 hours. Okay, so pretty soon. It'll be out pretty soon. Yeah, basically we will. Okay, find the most amount of bugs. There you go. And register more ERs. Yeah, it's really about, we just want to encourage people to be active and really like dive deep into it, solve hard problems, ask hard questions. come up with really, really good enhancement requests, and then you'll get fun prizes. Break it, yes. Break the product. Like, seriously, whack it. Can we retroactive to the alpha program? No, I think we need to do new stuff. But if it's something that wasn't fixed from then to now, I mean, I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, we want you to hit CF with a hammer. Like, we want to see if you can break it and find things that are wrong now. Like, now is the time. Like, we want to get all the stuff in as early as possible so that when we ship next year, the product is as good as it possibly can be. All right. Perfect. All right. We got about 4 more minutes. If anyone has any more questions, comments. You can do like a dance off or not. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Yeah, thank you all for coming. This has been amazing. I love you all. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see all of you and more at the next few webinars. Again, they will be recorded, so you'll be able to go back and rewatch them. But we hope to see you there live, because we want you asking questions, making comments, and interacting with our engineers. We're really happy to be doing this. This is an exciting new thing that we're going to be doing on all of our betas now, so that you really get a hand on the product and help things out. So thank you all. And I'm going to disappear for just a second while I close the recording. Be right back.